Good morning, everybody. Glad to have you here today. Thank you for joining me. If you will, again, I'll ask you to like, share, or comment on the post. And then, if you want to follow along, I'm going to be looking at a verse in Philippians chapter 4, verse 10, as we continue making our way through this little letter. And Paul is speaking again directly to the Philippian church, and he thanks them here. It says, he says, I rejoiced in the Lord greatly that now at length you have revived your concern for me. You were indeed concerned for me, but you had no opportunity. I want to go at this kind of two ways this morning. First of all, let's just talk for a second about what Paul actually says, and then I want to share a thought with you that I read from Pastor Tony Evans about this little verse that I thought was an interesting perspective on what Paul is saying. Paul is very clearly what's going on is for some reason, originally, the Philippian church had given and supported Paul in his ministry, his missionary effort, once upon a time. We don't know exactly when, and we don't know the fact that they have revived it means that it had stopped, and we don't know when or why it had stopped. Perhaps they just didn't have it. Perhaps they were under persecution. Perhaps they just decided not to do it. They got more concerned about things at home than they were about the missionary effort. Whatever it is, Paul is compassionate enough. Paul is good enough that he doesn't mention it. He's just grateful that it has started back. He gives them the out here. It would seem to, based on what Paul says, to be that for whatever reason they just didn't have the money. Whether it was because of persecution, or maybe they were just they just didn't have any money. Maybe they were broke, whatever reason. But Paul is again, he is grateful and wants to express to them his appreciation for them reviving their support of his ministry. And what again Pastor Evans brings out, what he as he taught on this passage, was something an interesting, I think, perspective of this is that Paul, he was just simply trusting in the power, the providence, the sovereignty of God. When they weren't giving, he knew God was still on the throne, and God was going to take care of him and was going to provide for his needs. And he was grateful that during the time, again, that they haven't been giving. Obviously, he has survived, and now in the providence of God, the sovereignty of God, he has led them to once again begin to support him. And what he points out here is, I think, a good point that, I'll be honest with you, I didn't see in this verse, but that Paul was, again, just trusting the plan, the hand of God. Whether the Philippians were giving or whether they weren't, Paul knew that he was doing the work of God. He knew that he was going where God was leading him, and he was going to trust him. His trust wasn't in the Philippian church. His trust wasn't in their offering and their support. He was trusting in God. And that's a good lesson for us. Things don't always go the way we plan, the way we think they should. But that we learn to trust in the sovereignty, the providence of God, that He has taken care of us to this point, and He will continue to take care of His children. He will continue to look out, and if things don't go the way we had planned, then God's got another plan. And so just a great little thought there, I thought. It blessed me. I hope it does you, what Pastor Evans, how he approached teaching this verse, that we learn to trust the providence of God. We trust the hand of God, whether things are going as we think they should or not, but whether the Philippians were giving or not, Paul says, I am going to trust God. Hope that will be your way of thinking as well. Have a great one. We'll see you here tomorrow morning.